If we don't have that's a good day. That's good.
I'd like to call this November 5th Zion City Council meeting to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McDowell? Commissioner Fisher?
Here.
Commissioner Frierson?
Here.
Commissioner Holmes? Here. Mayor McKinney?
Here. Mr. Brimner, would you care to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
If you will, please join me in the pledge of allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, sir.
As customary during the last several city council meetings, I'd like to just offer a moment of silence for our first responders, those that serve our country, those that serve our community and respond to our citizens in crisis. Thank you. Commissioners, are there any agenda changes?
I have one agenda change. I'd ask to table item 8A until the November 19th meeting.
Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Frierson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item number 5, citizens' comments. Thank you. Calvin Myers.
I understand I only have 3 minutes, so I will be brief, and I will be concise. I came here to talk to the city because I've touched every other base here, and I feel like I've been a victim of ongoing hate crime, and I do know the definition of a hate crime. I'm a disabled veteran. My girlfriend is completely disabled with MS. I'm a complete caregiver. What I've been systematically been involved with is that my property has been vandalized on a consistent basis. I've spoken to you, Mayor McKinney.
Yes, we have.
You referred me to Chief Henderson. I've met with him before, but nothing's changed because I don't think the intervention has been any different. I've taken all the steps I can take. I started the way you're supposed to start. You start from the bottom, calling the street patrols, until I had a street patrol come out to me and tell me, I extend my hand to him, he wouldn't shake my hand. I talked to, Chief Henderson was deputy chief at the time. The only thing he told me was that, oh, I hate it when that happens. I don't know if he was being sarcastic, but I tell you one thing, it was inappropriate. You know, I sit up every night with 2 guns in front of me, hoping that I don't catch somebody out there, because I may shoot them and ruin my life. I got pet dogs around there. I live on a property that has 4 lots, and I know who's doing the damage. I know who's doing the damage. It's my Hispanic neighbors that are doing the damage. And I can say it concisely. And I don't need a camera for that. I've been in my house almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years in January. And I've never needed cameras. I didn't need cameras until somebody started coming over there, scratching the mortar from between the brick, chipping brick off the garage, cutting my hedges on a consistent basis in the front. The reason I called Chief Henderson yesterday and asked him to make a courtesy visit was because they came out to the end of my yard, end of my driveway, and cut bushes out there yesterday. And I felt like I was just going through the motions. I put air in my tires at least 3 or 4 times a week. Matter of fact, I had to put air in my tires before I came here. Sometimes 1 tire, sometimes 2 tires, sometimes 3 tires. One time, screw in my tire. But it's consistent. Cut the ends off my bushes. Hollow my bushes out in front of my house so they won't support leaf or snow, so that when it snows, it'll pull the bush completely down. It's been one thing after another. What it is passive-aggressive acts on a consistent basis. It went out and had signs made. One side of the sign says, this house not for sale. Because the motivation is to harass me to the point where I decide, I'm sick of this, I'm getting out of here. That ain't happening, because I ain't no punk. The other side of the side says, stop vandalizing my property, because that's what I want them to do. All I want to do is be left alone. I'm 68 years old, and I've worked in human services for almost 30 years. I retired from Lake County Health Department in 2009. What I did as services, I served the disadvantaged and the underserved, and that's what I did for a business. And I don't judge people by the color of their skin. I really do judge you by the content of your character. But I want this stuff to stop. They harass my dogs in the summertime. I put six bags of dirt in my yard. I come out there, I got a garden full of rocks. These are bottle rockets, which they direct on top of my roof and at my dogs. They start doing fireworks before the holidays and continue well after the holidays, till sometimes till 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying my best not to get myself in trouble. And I've talked to everybody. And you know what? One of the things about it is systematic. I used to get these cards. I first started throwing them away. I want to buy your property. I put the first 5 or 6 away. Then I started saving them. I got 6 of these cards now. And they stopped calling because I started calling and cussing their asses out because I got tired of it. I took pictures of the damage. I actually showed them to Chief Henderson. And I actually felt better after I came over and met with you. I thought it might make a difference. It didn't make a difference because the intervention wasn't there. I felt that these people needed a good talking to tell them to cut it out. Just knock it off. You know, we have to keep coming out here. Somebody's going to go to jail. But you know what? I'm too old to be dealing with this stuff. And I'm trying not to get myself in trouble at this age. Every night, I go to bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when they're getting up. I know the definition of a hate crime. Known as a bias-motivated or biased crime, in a prejudice-motivated crime which occurs when a perpetrator targets a victim because of his or her membership or perceived membership in a certain social group or race. I feel like this is race-motivated. I don't think they'd be doing it if a white person lived there because I think the appropriate intervention would have been made. I'm just tired of it. And I don't want to get myself in trouble shooting somebody because they come over and bother my property. I mind my own business. I don't bother anybody. I'm a veteran. I retired from my job after 26 and a half years of service. That's about all I got to say now.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Myers. Thank you very much. Ken Edris.
Good evening. Ken Edris. I live here in Zion. However, I represent the commanding officer of the Naval Station Great Lakes, and I would pass on greetings for the holidays to the city of Zion, and would like to ask a couple questions, and I'll get to that question, I guess, the extended question at the last. But typically, I think most of the people in the area know about the July 4th fireworks and celebration each year down at Great Lakes. They are looking for sponsors, businesses that might be interested in sponsoring some of the activities that is available to all citizens in Lake County to attend. So if there is a business that might be interested, contact me or the base and we can get that information to them. Also, coming up on December 13th is the holiday Christmas concert at the Ross Auditorium. So anyone that has access to the base has the ability to attend that on Friday evening. And the question that I have is, hopefully it can be answered quickly, is what is the status of the recreational cannabis sales for the city, in the city of Zion? So I could report that back to the captain. That would be it, sir.
Okay. If you will stay for, we typically don't answer questions at citizens' comments, but during our departmental commentary, we will respond to that, or I have your email address. We communicate it, and I'll be able to give you an update on that.
Thank you.
All right. W.C. Bremner.
Mayor McKinney, gentle ladies, honorable sirs, I stand before you this evening, as I have in the past, to bring you anecdotal information about what communities downstate are doing regarding marijuana. It's primarily preemptive. There's January 1st, there is some kind of cutoff. I don't know the law, but things have to be done before then, so communities are doing them. I bring you information about Bloomington and Canton, Illinois. Where is Canton? It's about 3/4 of an hour south and west of Peoria. And then an article about the cultivation of marijuana and the difficulties involved. Has to be a certain strength, can't be above that, can't be below it, and so on. Permission to approach, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
I do thank you for your time, your courtesy, and your consideration. Permission to stand down.
Permission granted. Thank you, Mr. Bremner. Rob Picola.
Good evening. I'm Rob Picola, and I'm an attorney with the Institute for Justice, and I'm here with my clients, Robert Pierce, Stella Sims, and Josefina Lozano, who are a coalition of landlords and tenants currently in a federal lawsuit challenging the rental inspection ordinance in Zion. I'm here to speak about the proposed amendments, which have been, I don't know that there is, even at this moment, a draft available for public consumption. I didn't see one available here at this meeting or on the website. In the last iteration that we saw, there was still a requirement that in order for an occupancy in a rental housing to be lawful, that folks had to either submit to an inspection or possibly have one conducted pursuant to a search warrant, although that provision too was still optional. To be clear, the Fourth Amendment only permits searches in two scenarios: with the consent of the individual residing there or with a search warrant supported by probable cause. Punishing people by either making it unlawful for them to reside in an apartment or, as we've seen, fines, which can total, in at least one citizen example, more than 6 figures, are unconstitutional. So even if there is a removal of the most egregious portions, which charge thousands of dollars for punishment when people assert their constitutional rights, denying or otherwise making illegal the roof over someone's head is still unconstitutional. That's my only comment. Any other particulars, it's just not clear what those are, since I don't think that, at least as of this moment, there's a copy available for public consumption.
All right, thank you. Josefina Lozano.
Yes, good evening. My name is Josefina Lozano, and I am a plaintiff in the lawsuit that Mr. Picola just mentioned. And again, because the proposed amendments to the ordinance are not available, I would beseech this body to not vote on that today, and also to go through the normal process, which would be to go through the Planning and Zoning Board and to hold public hearings on the proposed amendments. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bonnie L. Is there a Bonnie?
Oh, I'm here, but I did not want to make any comments.
Okay,
I just signed the sheet.
all right. Mary Lou Hildebrand.
Good evening. I just wanted to take a minute and thank Commissioner Fisher for riding with ESDA on Trick or Treat Day on Sunday and being around the city with us and seeing how the kids are taken care of and everything. We just wanted to give him a thank you for riding with us.
Thank you. Clyde McLemore.
Good evening, Mayor,
council members. First of all, I want to say congratulations to the city and congratulate Ray Roberts for finally getting them alleys done. I was driving through them alleys, because you know I do it on a constant basis. And I drive through them alleys, and the alleys, I can drive a car through there and not a truck. You know, I can still have some shocks on my car. So I wanted to congratulate the city. I know it took a lot of time, it took a lot of fussing, it took a lot of enumeration, getting this thing done, but alleys are looking like, our city is looking good around here. It's kind of empty, but it looks good around here. I mean, our alleys look good. You know, we could walk through the alleys. You know, when I first moved here, I just walk through the alleys sometime, you know, just get to block. I ain't have to walk in the streets. And they clean too. On that note, second note is, y'all know the first Sunday of November, it's always been a special event here in Zion. I talked to the mayor, okay, I understand you, mayor, so you're not including here. But I got commissioners here, and we had every elected official, mayors from every other city that's surrounding. We had the congressmen, senators, state reps, everybody. Now, I'm not just saying to the mayor, this is to my commissioners, that none of y'all even attend an event to welcome people here in our city. We don't do that much, but to have a gala like that I really felt disappointed that nobody was there to represent the city of Zion. You know, Black Lives Matter was given a $10,000 donation. So we got a lot of things that we're going to do positive here this year. And by Zion being the base of this, it shows that we should have, you know, at least show that this, I mean, I ain't gonna go nowhere. So I'm willing to work with y'all, if y'all willing to work with me. You know what I'm saying? But we got people we bringing in from out of town. At least we could be there to welcome them to our city. I was very disappointed. The mayor did talk to me. I ain't worried about the mayor. Me and him, we go talk. But the rest of the commissioners, y'all should have been at least something. All right, thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Item number 6, consent agenda.
Approval of minutes of a regular meeting held on October 15th, 2019 at 7:05 PM, and approval but not release of closed session minutes of a meeting held on October 15th, 2019 at 8:10 PM.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
No second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye.
Bills, vouchers 133229 through 133460, drawn on Huntington National Bank, total $1,303,066.40.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
I had a question on a few of the items, and maybe this is to David, because I'm still relatively new. Daniels, Long, and Pinsel, what is that?
That's our attorney firm that is handling our,
Yeah, they handle, Madam Chair, or Mr. Chair, Madam Commissioner. They handle our prosecutions. They're a local counsel who handles our prosecutions, and they also handle matters relative to the Planning and Zoning Board, which we do not handle because we represent the city. We want them to have independent counsel. Daniels, Long, and Pinsel, a local firm, also handles the Board of Fire and Commission matters. And that is another thing that because we represent the city, we defer to that and allow them to do that so that there's no appearance of conflict.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Vianney Fernandez,
that's our contracted cleaning services for the city.
I got lost. Was there a first and a second?
Yes.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye. Item 6C is a proclamation, United States Marine Corps 244th birthday on November 10th, 2019. I, Billy McKinney, Mayor of the City of Zion, Illinois, do hereby proclaim that on the 10th day of November 2019, the City of Zion, County of Lake, State of Illinois does honor the United States Marine Corps and all those who have honorably served therein on this, the 244th birthday of the Corps. Be it further proclaimed that an official copy of this proclamation be forwarded to the Commander of Marine Corps Headquarters, Marine Corps, Washington, D.C., dated this 5th day of November 2019. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 7, consider passing ordinance as follows. 7A, vacating portions of a certain alley and approving a certain vacation agreement per Director Roberts.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Council approved the preliminary vacation request from the owner of 2715 and 2717 Emmaus Avenue at the September 3rd, 2019 council meeting. Attached is the final plat of vacation to vacate the portion of the alley between these residences. The applicant has agreed to pay the vacation fee of $6,468.60 and all associated recording costs. The vacation fee shall be required prior to signing and recording the plat. Staff is recommending approval of this plat of vacation.
Is there a motion to approve?
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
Is there discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 8B, consider approval of purchase and finance of equipment in Public Works Department per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. As part of the budget, we approved some capital purchases. We've already approved a lease for a squad car replacement and also a Vector truck for the sewer system. This is the final of the 3 for purchasing capital. This covers a new front-end loader in Public Works, a truck for replacement of a public service vehicle, a brine tank, which again is which also is a Public Works for salt issues as we're coming up on winter. And then the final item is a hot box. It's called a hot box, but that's what we've actually been renting. That's done a lot of the patching in the alleys, and this allows us to do a lot more of that in-house and in colder weather to use hot mix rather than cold mix, which is a lot more durable for winter seasons. So I'd recommend approval of the lease agreement as presented and budgeted for this fiscal year.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve the purchase.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Question about the truck.
Yeah.
How do we outfit those, or do they need to get additional outfitting?
That one, I don't believe, has
This
any
one is
outfitting
for-
other than a city seal on it.
This is for public service.
That's it.
All right. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 8C, consider approval of agreement with January Accounting Service per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. We've had some turnover in staff in the finance area, and we've been without some staff for a period of time, which has contributed to falling behind on some of the monthly processing. So I am requesting that we go out to contract for a special project to get all bank recs and financial processing current. We went with a local CPA, local licensed CPA, after getting some quotes. And this will be actually paid for by the savings and the salary by not replacing the finance individual. We are looking to post that soon, however, for going forward to make sure that we have proper staffing in place.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve this agreement with January Accounting Service.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Just a question, have any other municipalities used this company?
There's been a couple for small projects. She has a firm, CPA firm out of Waukegan. She's a local resident. We did check into the background, the licensing, certifications, and everything. So, and I'm supervising the process going forward.
Any additional? Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes?
Aye.
Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item 8D, consider proposal submitted by Retail Strategies for consulting services and retail recruitment per Administrator Nabel.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. 3 years ago, we entered into an agreement with Retail Strategies along with Beach Park and Winthrop Harbor to market the region to national retailers and at national conferences to try and attract businesses to the area. We all shared that cost based on our percentage of population. Our share of that was $22,000. So that was a 3-year contract. It is now up for renewal. Beach Park and Winthrop Harbor decided not to renew with that for various reasons that you have to ask them about. But so what they did is rather than $40,000 total, the quote for renewal is $30,000 total, which is more than we were paying, but everyone was picking up a piece of the overhead on that, so it just comes to a higher cost. The funds for this actually can come out, the way we allocate this is we do about 75% out of TIF districts, because most of the area where we would have retail development is in TIF corridors, about 25% is not. So it's about $5,500 would be the impact on the general fund budget. The remainder would be eligible TIF expenses. So it's not a huge impact on our general fund budget. They do represent, as I said, they do represent us at national conventions all over the place that we don't necessarily go to, where retailers are attending, as well as contacting, calling businesses, trying to market, putting together demographic and site selection information, things of that nature. So I kind of look at this as the cost of a part-time person to do that stuff. You probably end up paying more than $30,000 a year for just salary on that. So it's just a matter of whether we want to continue to invest in that or not. It's a difficult market, difficult in Zion, difficult in Illinois in general. But I think it's worth continuing the investment in that to put us in good position going forward and building our tax base. So I would recommend the renewal of the contract.
Is there a motion?
I'll move to approve this proposal from Retail Strategies.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion?
Administrator Nabel,
Yes.
is this for a 1-year term, or is this another 3-year term contract? It's not clear on
It's
the...
an annual.
It's an
The
annual?
initial was 3-year because they had to do a lot of work up front.
Right.
In getting everything established. They had a lot of people coming from all over the country kind of doing the boots on the ground work. So they wanted a 3-year commitment, not only for that front-loaded cost, but also they kind of wanted a fair shake at this, because economic development relationships don't happen in a year. They take time to develop. So it was an initial 3-year, but an annual going forward.
Okay. So if we were to do this totally in-house, how much do you think it would cost us if we were to have a full-time staffer do this?
Well, you'd probably be paying about $50,000, $60,000 in salary and benefits at a minimum. I mean, just insurance, you'd be looking at $25,000 depending on coverage level. Probably another $5,000 in IMRF, and then you'd probably be looking at a salary of $30,000 to $40,000 if at a minimum. I mean, I don't know who you'd get for that kind of salary, but you'd be looking at about $60,000 total compensation at minimum.
And plus, they would have to do extensive travel,
Right.
wouldn't they, to attend these conferences?
We'd be incurring costs on the travel to those conferences as well, national.
Thank you.
Is there a harmonized relationship with us, our economic development coordinator?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Is there a harmonized relationship?
Yeah, she's the point person on all contacts, so she has access to their portal where they update reports on who they called, what the follow-up is, things of that nature. The economic development coordinator does attend local conferences in Chicago and things like that, so we kind of hit them with a 1-2 punch where they go in, we go in, but they're reporting on a regular basis to her and getting direction on sharing leads back and forth, making sure one follows up and the other, does the same. So.
Commissioner Holmes, I'll share this once we get into the departmental commentary section of the council meeting, is that we just, Commissioner Frierson and I just spent 3 days, probably about 2 or 3 weeks ago, with them at the retail conference in Chicago. And one of the big projects that we've been working on for several years was the Speedway project, which was to be positioned located at the old Dunes Theater. And because of the motor fuel tax hike in Illinois, that made them change their project. But we still met with them while we were there, and they said in a 6-month period they're still interested, and they would reevaluate coming to Zion at that point once there was possibly a change in the motor fuel tax. So we traveled down there. It was a great 3 days, and not only during the meetings with them do we talk with the businesses that want to come to town, and we've had a lot of interest thus far, but we also spend time talking to the businesses that are here in town and making sure that things are going well with them, or if there are additional things that we can help to make their businesses be successful here. So we'll talk about that more later, but just wanted you to have an idea of the scope, and I think Commissioner Frierson certainly had a feel for that after spending 2 or 3 days on your feet walking around and entertaining people. So thank you for the questions.
Question. So, again, to Mayor McKinney's point, we did have a great conversation with retail strategists when we were there. And being that this is coming from TIP funds, I'm more inclined to actually approve for that reason. Can you speak to the reporting and some of the other benefits that you get from signing this contract with retail strategists?
Sure. They put together, first of all, they do a lot of the site research, demographics. They put together maps and basically promotional materials, packages on where different retailers are clustered so that they know, and they have a lot of history and knowledge on what retailers look for, co-tenants, local places. They've developed relationships with the site selectors that we don't have connection to. So they have large Rolodex, for lack of a better term, of connections, who to call and what they're looking for. So they put together the promotional materials, they do the calls to them, they have staff contacting them on a regular basis, making sure Zion's name is on the list, is on their radar. There's 50,000 municipalities out there like us, and if you have a retailer that's based out of California, you'll be lucky if they know anything in Illinois other than Chicago. So where are they going to go? We want to make sure our name is there. So they do a lot of that work. They report back to us on who they're calling, what the response was, what their follow-up action is going to be, whether they're going to, if they say, yeah, we're looking at that area, but it's not going to be till 2020. That's the follow-up. They're going to get back to them in December this year and go, when in 2020 would be a good time to contact you. So we get reporting on all that so that we know who's interested, who's just kind of going, no, thank you. And then they kind of refocus those efforts. They work with us on saying, can you reach out to them? Can we set up meetings? Are they in this area at this time? To be able to meet face to face, things of that nature. So they stay on top of all that on an ongoing basis.
Thank you.
The other thing, I would like to add to that too, is they understand the demographics of our city. And there's so many times when we are asked about, why don't we bring a Starbucks here? Or why don't we bring a Buffalo Wild Wings here? All things that prior to joining the city council, I would ask myself. I think we have a great city and that we deserve some of these good places to come in. But typically what it finds out, they break everything down from income level, traffic patterns and everything, and sometimes Zion doesn't fit the demographics right now, but we continue to pitch to these people because at some point we will fit those demographics and those places will come here. So it's I found their services to be incredibly valuable with the scope of length that they have and the people that they talk to and being able to promote Zion as a city to bring businesses to. So clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye. Item number 9, departmental commentary. Human Resources Director Karen Graves.
Thank you, sir. I don't have anything to report this week.
All right. Director Ianson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Just a reminder, branch pickup is done through the yard waste program. They can be set out in yard bags to be picked up with regular garbage service, or they can be bundled no more than 2-inch diameter, 4 feet long, or 18 inches in bundle, and must be twined with non-degradable twine. The program ends on November 30th.
All right. Director Roberts.
Thank you, Mayor. As everybody, I hope, knows, the LEAF program did start last week. Mother Nature tried to stop it for a couple days. So it is probably 2 days behind schedule right now, but they are continuing. The other thing we would like to ask residents to help is, with that snow, there's a lot of leaves that came down off these trees that's now in the streets. The contract with the program, with the contractor, does not require them to vacuum the streets. We do not have a crew large enough to go through this whole city and rake the leaves out of the street, so we're asking for residents' help with that. If you can just get it up onto the parkway, then the contractor will vacuum that out. And then, I know Mr. McMore touched base with the alleys. As long as the asphalt plants are open, we are still, the street crew is still continuing to do a sweep through the whole city with patching alleys. So you'll still see them out there until they just stop selling the hot dogs.
Director Roberts, is there a timetable when they typically stop selling asphalt?
It's around the 15th or Thanksgiving. Last year it went into December. So it's kind of weather driven.
Okay.
And it's also driven on their own contracts with the state and the county. So they're making mix to finish their projects, and then if they have extra, we can tag on to that. Yes.
The leaf pickup too, just so that I'm not stepping on any toes with the leaf pickup with our citizens too. I think it's really helpful as you are in your respective neighborhoods with the leaves coming down that so many of the leaves tend to gravitate toward our drains. And because of our infrastructure challenges that we have, again, it's one of those things where we'd ask for 30 minutes a week from our citizens to help just to unplug those drains from the leaves that might come down. Sometimes our crews aren't able to get to those, or public works crews, because of other commitments. But it certainly helps with a lot of the issues we have with our infrastructure to keep our drains clear. Administrator Nabel.
Thank you. This is the time of year where a lot of taxing bodies talk about, I hate these words, but their tax levies. They have to adopt it by the end of December and file it with the county. The city will be talking about that over the next couple meetings. But on next Tuesday, a week from tonight, 6 o'clock at It's All Good, coffee shop right next door, I will be doing a presentation on understanding your tax bill. I do it every year at this time. I do another one in May before your blue card comes out. But if you want to understand how the levies work, how that translates into tax rates, how to read your property tax bill, it's from 6 to 7 next Tuesday. It's all good.
Thank you, Administrator Nabel. Chief Lewis?
Thank you, sir. With the temperatures quickly dropping outside, I would just urge everybody, if you have a fireplace at home and plan on starting using it, make sure your chimney's clean, soot-free. If you do burn in there, make sure the ashes are disposed of properly and cooled off before you dispose of them. If you're using space heaters, keep them about 3 feet away from anything combustible. If you got an older style space heater, you might want to trade it in, purchase a newer one. The newer ones, when they tip over, they automatically turn off. It's just a safety mechanism. And then if you're just using your plain old furnace in your home, make sure you get that checked also. Make sure it's burning properly and not giving off high levels of carbon monoxide. That's it.
Chief Henderson.
Mayor, 2 things tonight. The temperature's supposed to dip tonight. Some of you may have caught on our Facebook page. A couple of weeks ago, we posted about having 3 vehicles stolen in 24 hours that have been warming up. This is a trend going on up and down the lakefront here, from Kenosha to North Chicago out to around Lake Beach. Groups of juveniles are driving around looking for cars that are left warming up, obviously without the auto start and a key in the ignition. And they're 3 or 4 deep, and they'll go around until they get 3 or 4 vehicles. And they'll keep them for a couple of days. They are driving very dangerously. I know that one of our neighboring jurisdictions pursued one of them south of the state line. The offender was fleeing well over 100 miles an hour. And while we would want to stop those and recover those vehicles, we cannot risk the public's life by recklessly pursuing these kids. We have strong ideas of who they are. We're just trying to identify them. Unfortunately, we have parents who are not willing to cooperate or work or recognize what their kids are doing, and unfortunately some of these kids are going to wind up dead. So I just urge you, don't leave your vehicle unattended warming up, especially in this cold weather. Second thing, you may notice something a little different about me tonight. This is just, we're into November, and to commemorate No Shave November and to support our Shop with the Cop program, we've suspended our regulations regarding facial hair for the male officers, and normally our female officers are restricted to muted colors on their nail polish, but for a $50 donation to our Shop with the Cop program, we're suspending those. By doing that, we've raised over an additional $900 for that program. So we're not letting our regulations slide, we're just suspending them for a little while for a good cause.
Thanks, Chief. You think we could apply that program to the hair program as well? That we could loosen our restrictions?
It wouldn't do any good for me. And maybe not for others.
Do our commissioners have any comments? I just want to follow up on a couple of things. Chief Henderson, thank you so much about the stolen car information. Sheriff Eidelberg was in the City Hall the other day, and he was saying that with the cold wave, they've had about 86 cars stolen in Lake County. So these crimes of stolen cars are really crimes of opportunity. And I know no one likes to get out and get into a cold car, but realize the risk that comes with it. Administrator Nabel talked about his meetings, your dollars and cents meeting. And for the past 15 months or so, one of the things that we have been attempting to do with the city and our citizens is to have better communication with them in every way, shape, and form. For the past 15 months, we've had what we call Zion Solution meetings, and we have it at different locations in downtown Zion, different places, so our citizens can come out and have a voice about what's going on in City Hall. They have an opportunity, as we're looking at making changes in so many of our ordinances and procedures here at City Hall, that they have a chance to have their input. And they have been very well attended. We encourage people to come. It's advertised in advance. Sonalito Bronson, our Economic Development Director, usually heads that along with Administrator Nabel. And it's a really good thing for our council in a lot of ways. We don't admit to be perfect. Our decisions, like we're humans, we are flawed. But I can assure you that the people working here within the city, our department heads and our workers and our commissioners are really doing their best that we can, given the resources that we have, to improve our city as much as we can. And that comes through our citizens getting involved, constant communication. So if you haven't attended one of those and you want to know what's going on in the city, we are transparent about what we're doing. And we let our residents know that when they attend these meetings. If they have questions about things, we have department heads there that answer the questions. But also, I got to tell you, there are times that our citizens that attend these meetings make comments about suggestions about things, and we have taken some of those comments and implemented them with our services here, what we do at City Hall. So for people that don't think they have a voice, you do, but use it in the right way in terms of coming to these meetings, attending them, and supporting our department heads and our employees in our cities by making suggestions. We don't know everything, and we know that sometimes we might all talk about a same idea, but there's a different twist on it that someone might add to it, and it turns into a better concept. So please attend those and look for those on our We Love Zion page and different community forums that are there. I think enough has been said about the retail strategies. They've been a really good group to work with. Within the last week or so, I also had an opportunity to spend some time at the state capitol. And during my meeting, one of the reasons I was there to beg for money for our city. They've had a capital funding bill that they haven't had in about a 10-year period. We applied for some capital funding, which we desperately need. We've talked about the state of our streets and our alleys. The infrastructure needs a ton of work, and it takes money to be able to do that. And we're trying to do that in a way without impacting our residents financially in an adverse way. So I had an opportunity to sit down with the appropriations director of the House and the director of the appropriations for the Senate. A meeting that I'm not sure if there's ever been a mayor in Zion that has gone down to Springfield, at least since I've been back to town. I know that's not the case. But we've had some lobbyists working with us that enable those meetings to happen, to get in and talk about what we need in our city. One of the decisions that hurt us recently was a decision by the Second Appellate Court, I believe, when we lost the ability for a company to come in that was going to have a medicinal cannabis marijuana facility in Zion. We've been working on that for 5 or 6 years, is that correct, Administrator Nabel? And that would have brought us, we were losing about $300,000 a year over the last 3 years because of this hiccup with the license. So we are, as a city council, we are making more of an effort than I've, to continue along with what Mayor Hill was doing in the past about strengthening our government relationships, making sure that we have a presence in Springfield, that we know what we're doing and we know the right people to talk to ask for money. And so I was there, and I think the meetings were very productive with both the appropriations directors of the House and the Senate. We also spent significant time with Joyce Mason while she's State Rep Joyce Mason and Senator Melinda Bush. And I am cautiously optimistic, as typically we are in government, that when this second round of capital funding is distributed, that Zion will have some money to be able to do some things. So I want to take this opportunity to thank the lobbyists that we've hired, that some people question about for making these meetings happen. As much as I would like to think that my name carries a lot of weight because of what I've done in my past, This is a different arena and certainly need different people to be able to make those introductions, to be able to get in and sit down and talk with these people about our needs. And I guess in the words of the Temptations, when I went down there, ain't too proud to beg. Because we deserve some things that we've been overlooked for in our city. We've got a terrific city here. And we are making the effort as a council to be better. And when we make mistakes, as we all do as people, we also look to try to see what we can do to improve things. Our lobbyists also helped us with being able to get the enterprise zone, which is a huge economic engine development for us, and being able to bring businesses here to town. They're also spending a lot of time with us where we continue to work with our legislators on getting compensated for the spent fuel rods that are down on our lakefront. About 2 weeks ago, I went to New York. I was invited to speak on a panel of a regional decommissioning, nuclear decommissioning panel in Montrose, New York. And to make sure everyone is aware of this, I paid for it out of my pocket. There was no city money involved. And just having the connections with the people that are also going through that, 14 other communities that are going through nuclear decommissioning, there's a lot of strength in people talking about how this impacts their community. All of us that have been here for quite some time understand exactly what the decommissioned nuclear plant has meant to our community. It's cut our community value in half. We've lost 1,300 jobs. Our tax rates and our taxes have gone up, and we're still fighting as hard as we can to make sure that we get compensated for being a nuclear storage facility. In fact, this afternoon, we spent time with the other taxing bodies updating them on everything that we've been doing to get legislation presented in the House of Representatives, in Congress, and through the Senate. So we're continuing to battle this, getting money for being a storage facility in our community. A couple things I've been involved with, Lakefront Economic Development Group that I've been a part of. Mayors from Winthrop Harbor, Waukegan, North Chicago, and Wadsworth have been involved with developing our lakefront, looking forward to trying to build a bike path and waterways from North Chicago to the border. It's one of our, as we know, our lake is one of our best assets, and this group has been working on getting funding through the Lake County, I want to say tourism, and the DNR. IDNR, yes. I get all these acronyms mixed up from time to time, but we've been working with them to try to improve access on bikes and the waterways to be able to bike our beautiful communities and show off the assets that we have. We're working on something with the county in terms of the bike path that runs not too far from my house, and being able to make it a little bit more interactive in terms of pointing to downtown Zion and the wonderful amenities that we have here. Also working on the Lake County Housing Commission, and one of the things that we've been talking about is affordable housing in Lake County and trying to deal with homelessness that we have in Lake County. In Zion, we have a 19% poverty rate, where 19% of our people are living below the poverty line. So one of the drives and important aspects of our city and for economic development too is development of affordable housing. So continue to work on those things. They're not things that we talk about every council meeting, but we're all very active in trying to make sure that our citizens have good, affordable, clean places and safe places to live. Item number 10, announcements. November 19th. I'm going to back up before I said October 19th. November 10th, of course, the 244th birthday of the Marine Corps. November 11th is Veterans Day. And if you haven't had a chance to attend the veterans ceremonies, take time to do it and honor those who have died protecting our freedom, those that still serve right now to make sure that we have the freedom that we do in our country that sometimes we take absolutely for granted. On November 19th, we have a Zion Township Board meeting at 6:15 p.m. and at 7 p.m. a Zion City Council meeting. November 28th and 29th, the city offices are closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. And December 3rd at 7 p.m. we have a Zion City Council meeting. Item number 11, closed
Point of
session.
order, sir. I heard the mayor read the schedule. On the 11th of November, will city offices be open or closed?
They're open.
Open.
Yes.
Offices will be open.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Number 11, closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2, open meetings for the discussion of personnel and pending litigation. Is there a motion to go into closed session?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Fisher?
Aye.
Commissioner Fryerson?
Aye.
Commissioner Holmes? Aye. Mayor McKinney?
Aye.